Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. The new Blitz Pass is out, which means that I have to divert my attention because it contains a light cruiser, and I like light cruisers. This is the Duca d'Aosta, I believe, an Italian light cruiser, and a very interesting ship. She's a Tier 6 premium. You get it with the Blitz Pass, on top of all the other resources. You can look that up yourself. That thing in the Second World War mostly served in the Mediterranean because the Germans and the Italians were fighting in North Africa because a lot of oil there. So the British were trying very hard to disrupt these things, and the British were also fighting in North Africa against the Germans and the Italians. So a lot of convoy duty, back and forth sort of things, but not many engagements per se. I think she never really got hit by anything, and probably never really hit much of herself either. But after the war, she was handed over to the Soviet Union and served there in the Black Sea Fleet. So what are these kind of cruisers like? We haven't seen many Italian cruisers yet. We've got the Duca degli Abruzzi in Tier 7, and that is an excellent AG spammer. The Duca d'Aosta here is a bit of a different sort of ship because of this. She gets semi-armour piercing shells. If you've played World of Warships PC, then you've heard of these things before. In Blitz, they're absolutely new. So, semi-armour piercing shells, what do? They do more damage than armour piercing because they have bigger explosive loads, but they have a little bit less penetration. So, normally we've got high explosive and armor piercing, where high explosive does usually less damage and has less penetrating power, but has the capability of starting fires. Armor piercing has more damage, more penetrating power, but very, very, very rarely starts fires. The semi-armor piercing round here do a lot of damage, and we'll get to that in a second. So, what have we got? We've got a light cruiser at Tier 6, so you've just got enough. You have just got enough armor to arm battleship armor-piercing shells right in your citadel. You have no health to work with. You're rather squishy. That's normal for light cruisers. We're used to these sort of things. She is fast, and I mean fast. This thing can outrun destroyers. And that's historically accurate. So the Duca d'Aosta was actually built as a very, very quick light cruiser, and that's reflecting in the game with my setup. She's got a 37.6 knots base speed plus consumables. She is rather quick. The propulsion, the acceleration of the propulsion mod is needed because she doesn't get off the ground very quickly, or not ground, ocean, but she doesn't get there very quickly. So she does need a bit of a run up. She is very maneuverable on the base. So I've actually skimped on the maneuverability mods. We'll get to that again in a second. Let's look at the guns first. So we've got 8 guns, which is one less than you normally have on a Tier 6 light cruiser. You're normally getting 9 guns, and then 3 triples. She gets 4 twin turrets. The 150mm mains, they do a good amount of a decent amount of armor piercing damage, but they do a lot of semi-armor piercing damage. So of all the Tier 6 light cruisers, I believe she does the most semi-armor piercing damage. Now the problem obviously is that you only do this damage when you're penetrating something. So this is most useful against destroyers and potentially other light cruisers. But anything else, you're really going to be struggling with the semi-armor piercing to actually do any kind of meaningful damage, and are often better off using the armor piercing. The turrets don't turn very quick, and she gets the long-range Italian torpedoes. She gets 2 triple launchers, 1 on each side, and an 8.1 kilometer range. Very, very good torpedo angles on these ships, as usual, similar to what the French ships are having. So you can use these as aggressive torpedoes. The AA is, it's there. It's nothing great. And the surface detection is relatively decent with just over 7 kilometers. So what do we have in terms of, no, not that one. What do we have in terms of skills? She gets sonar, 2 sonars. So a little bit like a Nürnberg. We have a hard-hitting, rapid-firing, maneuverable, very squishy light cruiser with torpedoes. Sounds good, doesn't it? All right. So let's look at the equipment setup. I currently have the main battery mod 1 in here because the turrets really turn very slowly. And if you're in a very maneuverable cruiser, it's very easy to outturn your turrets, which means you can't actually fire at anything because the turrets are not getting on target while you're turning. So I would have probably liked to increase the fire rate a little bit, but the amount of maneuvering I have to do, especially when I'm being shot at by battleships, led me to go with the main battery mod 1. I have the acceleration, or the propulsion mod in here, because the acceleration is dreadful out of the box. So while it would have been nice to have the steering mod, 6.9 seconds isn't terrible. It's not like top of the class, but it's also not terrible in terms of maneuverability. And I did need to have the capability of actually building up and dropping off speed. And the third slot I actually put into speed. And again, it could have very much been the steering gear modification. Or if you wanted to be a bit more sneaky, the concealment mod might work as well. But I figured she is already extremely quick. So why not build her for speed to allow you to get in and out of trouble? You've got long-range torps, but you can't HE spam at range. So if you're up against battleships, you'll be a bit in trouble. It's a bit like with a British cruiser, just that you don't have a smoke screen. So that's that thing. Now, Mr. Mario here is kind of a man of many talents, but he was originally designated and built for the set up for the Duca degli Abruzzi at tier 7. So the skill set doesn't quite match her, but at least the sonar skill matches, I guess, and it's not terrible. Like you would obviously pick Victorious Charge instead of the air defense expert because you don't have the air defense alert in this ship. So anyway, Mario here is a very busy man, and he's captaining all my Italian ships, which, by the way, is really one of the reasons I wanted the Blitz Pass, because there are more Italian captains in there, and I'm really running short on them. So, more than the ship, I actually really just wanted to have another Italian captain, but you know, the ship's a nice bonus. The supplies is nothing surprising here. Reload, hit points, and again, speed and maneuverability. This ship is interesting because again, she's reminding me a bit of the Nürnberg, but she doesn't quite have the versatility of the Nürnberg. She is an excellent destroyer hunter, and she does an enormous amount of damage to destroyers with the semi-armour piercing. Plus, she gets the sonar, the speed, and maneuverability. She's okay against cruisers, against other cruisers. Light cruisers, you can still do something with the semi-armour piercing, or you just load the AP. It's battleships where she struggles. And that's where something like the Nürnberg with the hard-hitting German armor piercing works better, in my opinion, and with the much heavier torpedo load. This ship does not quite have the DPS against battleships, and she can't set fire. I mean, you wouldn't normally fire high explosive with a Nürnberg against a battleship either, unless you're really at long range and you can't aim, and you just want to try and set some fires, but you don't have that opportunity in this ship. So, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Let's go and play a battle. We are top tier on Bay of Storms. Let's go. We've got a New Mexico, New York, Pensacola, Nürnberg, Gnevny, and a Nicholas. So, there's a Dallas on the team as well. 2 cruisers, very well mixed battle. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. This is always a strange time when the leagues have just rolled over, because the matchmaker can't really take them into account, and you get sometimes extremely unbalanced teams. Anyway, who do we have with us? There's a Warspite, and there's a Nicholas with us. So let's hope we keep the semi-armor piercing loaded, because I am expecting that we're going to see some destroyers coming around that corner there. I mean, this is kind of how you play this map as a destroyer. Often you'll find them at the corner. And it looks like our destroyer has no intention of going anywhere near that. Or is he just kind of getting a little bit in there? Okay, are you changing sides? It looks like he's changing sides. So that means it's... What do we got? Yeah. It means it's up to me or the Warspite. I don't know if the Warspite's AFK or if it's just not. But look at the speed of my ship, right? It's 38.8 knots. This is insane. Okay, this is far enough. We probably want to turn out here because the destroyer is buggered off and there's some customers coming. Okay, that's in New York. I don't want to fire at him yet. First of all, I've got the SAP loaded, which isn't going to be doing a great deal against him, and he's also too far away. But I want to see if anything else comes around the corner. So unless I'm being spotted, I want to see if I can do some spotting on my own. Okay, there's a Pensacola. Let's drop some torpedoes in his direction. Pensacola is a better target. Let's see how the semi-armor piercing fares against the Pensacola. So you see these kind of reddish, purplish shells? That's the semi-armor piercing coming in. Yeah, kind of semi-pens, full pens. It's too long. It's too long of a range. And nobody else seems to be here having much interest in defending this side, so let's see. Okay, let's keep firing at the Pensacola with the semi-armor piercing. Oh, okay, we got a Congo helping out here now. Thank you, that's good. Drop some more torpedoes. Where is he slowing down? Yeah, he's slowing down. So let's try to drop the New York. He's probably paying not as much attention. And just keep the fire up against the Pensacola. I mean, you can damage battleships with the semi-armor piercing, absolutely. I mean, this is a tier 5 battleship. And of course, they're shooting at me. Okay, I dodged that one. And the Pensacola giving broadside to a Congo means the Congo is gonna eat them for breakfast. Okay, it looks like our team has abandoned the other side where everybody was running in the first place. And it's us against the New York over here. Pensacola is running because he's very low on health. I'm just going to switch over to the armor piercing. But I don't actually want to be here because the enemy team is rushing us from the other side. So, I mean, we don't need 3 of us to kill, or 4 of us to kill a New York if we're not exploiting that. So I'm going to turn around. I'm trying to shoot at the bow of the New York, but the armor piercing doesn't do a great amount. It doesn't have a great amount of penetration either, so we were on 5 kilometers. But I can kind of do some damage with it. So, some bounces. There we go, that's the New York bounce. Okay, it looks like the enemy team is rushing our cap. So, we have not much left. That New Mexico is dead. The Nicholas is going to take her out, so back to the SAP. And, oh no, New Mexico survived. But there's New Mexico, New York, and a Nuremberg coming in, and he's pretty much dead. Okay, so, Nicholas is down, Nuremberg's on low health. So this is usually not what you want to do, because, again, you're in a very, very light cruiser. You are not going to have... You're not going to survive this very long, but we do need to defend this cap here. Again, I've got semi-armor piercing loaded. And you see these all bounce off. So I think that battleship is not paying a huge amount of attention. I'm just seeing if I can get some penetrations into the bow. So at point blank range, you can. The problem is, if you're at point blank range of a battleship, you really, really don't want to be there. There's that pesky Pensacola still coming around. Okay, can we sink this guy before he gets to reload and kills me? Yes, we can. Okay, Warspite sinks him. Everybody's shooting at me. So let's see, Pensacola is the next one who has relatively low health. Let's see where we can sink the Pensacola. And that New Mexico looks like about just ready to blood me. Okay. But we do need to defend the cap because the Pensacola and the New Mexico is in the cap and is capping. Okay, dodge that one. Semi-armor piercing. Okay, I'm dead, right? I know at this point that I'm dead, but we need to defend this cap. So I'm going to suicide rush to New Mexico, which gives the Warspite a bit more time to get into the cap. And I'm going to do as much damage as I can with the torpedoes. And the New Mexico is firing high explosive. Had he fired armor piercing, I would have been probably dead to a minute ago. But I'm still going to get these torpedoes in. And it looks like the New Mexico is going out of the cap, which means the Warspite can get in the cap. And yeah, I mean, I'm dead, but I did almost 70,000 damage. So, you see the problem against battleships. You can damage battleships, you do not want to play it at extremely close range. So usually what I do is I go with the armor piercing and try to fire at weak spots, because the semi-armor piercing at range really struggles to do anything against battleship armor. And use your torpedoes, use your speed. Unfortunately, again, you don't have smokes or anything like you would have in a British cruiser. You can't set fires, so she does require a little bit of work from the respective player and a little bit of knowledge of how to play and how to make the best out of the guns. Against destroyers, however, or other cruisers, the semi-armor piercing is extremely powerful. Again, you've got you're doing more damage. You have a higher alpha damage in the SAP than in the Nürnberg, and even though you have one less gun, you do fire them a bit quicker. And you do more damage. So she is a very, very good destroyer hunter, which we haven't really seen in this battle because the destroyers were elsewhere. But well done, the Warspite. Good job there, Kraken. Well deserved. Anyway, so this should give you a bit of an idea about what this ship is like, and if you think you'd like her or not, or if it's worth the Blitz Pass, is as always your absolute decision. But even if you don't get her, at least you kind of know what she can do to you. So if you're in a destroyer and you see one of those things coming, be somewhere else, because she has a hydro. She's maneuverable. You won't be able to torp her, and the semi-armor piercing is murderous against destroyers. So that's that. Anyway, thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.